Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. It's moi again. That's right, your host for the Get Happy podcast, Ruud Ronnie Davy. And today I have a very special guest from the Netherlands, of all things, Merlijn Wolsink. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. I'm so thrilled to be on your podcast because you're just a whole bunch of bubbling happiness and chaos and all of that. So yeah, well, what can we create today? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're one of the happiest people I know. And it's funny you say all this bubbly thing. I'm kind of coined as a happy lady, which actually there's really much worse things I could be called. So I'm grateful for that. Oh,
honey. Yeah, me too. Like I can relate to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, darling, if you would please share with our listeners and those watching on YouTube now and in the future, who you are, what you be, all the things.
Cool. Well, Merlijn or Merlin, as a lot of my international friends would like to call me, also referred to as the Wizard. Oh, that's my given birth name, by the way. Like, just not like some artist, like, you know, fantasy. I hated that name at first until I got my happy on. I started to enjoy what the name could create and what it could, you know, what connection points it could trigger, and you know what actually, you know, the magic of living life, you know, can actually be, which is to me still an adventure and a mystery. I'm like, my body was born in the Netherlands and have been actually on stage in theater for a good 10 years as a dancer, singer, actor. Did a lot of Broadway shows, and I know, right? Yeah, all of that.
Y'all can't see it. I was dancing a little bit. Woo!
I know, they're still working. Oh, girl. Well, you
got one of these, so I picked my leg up and almost fell off my stool. Anyway,
I know. I always use it with the back thing. However, that was a like I'm very happy with the shows that I've done. They're all like great productions. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily like a big fan of musical theater myself, but it includes all these different things that like it just felt like I was narrowing myself down. If I would choose one, you know, I would say like a true humanoid would do, like I would say more a creative individual. So then eventually through a lot of like interesting experiences, disease, physical disease, also I would say like a lot of depression, suicidal moments, not that I actually did it, so what did I know? I came across the tools of Access Consciousness, and those totally blew open my world and allowed me to get my happy on and know what I know. That didn't always, like I would say, show up as happy, because happy brings up a lot of things, because it's like a very, like it's like a very alien universe for a lot of people, and also as a very alien, like I had to like learn to be me and function as the space that I actually am. And also when you have all that other energy, all that mind control run through your head on day-to-day basis, it's so easy to get caught up in that. So however, facilitating consciousness a good 9 years. I'm CF certified facilitator for a good 6 years, and it's been awesome to see what people can discover about their own powers, abilities, talents, you know, the things that they've negated or pushed away or suppressed or made wrong, to actually like, you know, like unpack that gift. Right. And in that it's like just such a miraculous adventure living on planet Earth, especially like the last 1.5 years. It's just, you know, I gotten clear on so many things about the energies in the world. Like we live in this world and this universe of energy, which was, when I used to work in theater, for instance, was such a mishmash and everything would get jammed into my own head. So I'm still so grateful for moving forward and knowing that I have choice. Like that's like, but then how is like always the thing, but that's, you know, why we have some tools that is, you know, extremely empowering if we're willing to use them. You put them into effect probably in the moments when we don't want to use them. That's when they're most effective. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so people out there in podcast land, you actually, you have all this choice. Will you choose it? I mean, for me, it's like I remember when I first discovered Access, the tools blew me away because they seemed so simple that it seemed too easy. And I'm like, surely these don't work. I don't know how.
Like, no, can't work. Is like fraud patrol.
Right?
Full stop. Yeah.
Everything else I've tried hasn't worked, so why in the world would these tools that are so simple actually work for me? And then when you have the courage,
yeah,
or you get sick and tired of the way your life has been and you actually go, well, maybe I'll actually try one of these. It's pretty amazing how seemingly, aside from being easy, how seemingly quick they go into place. So maybe what was like one of the tools that kind of got you when you first discovered Access?
Yeah. I would say the tool that made the most difference when I would say I was like, when there was room, my mom had tried to introduce Access tools to me like for a good half year before
Your
I actually
mother?
My mom, yeah.
What?
I know. Not necessarily fucked up and interested in limiting you. No, it was my mom. I mean, she really like, as an infinite being, I apparently, made this choice to end up with my mom and dad, which are actually two extremely kind, loving, caring, very allowing individuals, both of them. And like she was always looking for the ways that she could empower me, I would say, in my energy management, knowing that I was probably like extremely psychic, picking up on like high sensitive, they would call that, but I was always like too well functioning to put me in some sort of extreme box. So never got really, like, I would say,
you never got locked up.
I know, I didn't get locked up. Like, yeah. But then I did get locked up a little bit in, I would say, the continuous like input that ended up creating overwhelm, because when you have all those like sensations and like glitches go through your system 24/7, like, you start developing a buildup. So what to the point that I was like, I don't want to live anymore. So then she was like, well, would you like to change it? And then I was like, yes. And then she ran the clearing statement, which I'm not sure you discuss in this show, but you can always look it up on the accessclearingstatement.com. And then like, I was like, was that thing that I didn't want you to use on me? And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, all right then. So then I went then I went to the supermarket, do some grocery shopping. And that was like 10 minutes later, I was like, what the fuck just happened? I felt so different. I felt like this thunder cloud that I've been living for a good couple of years had just kind of like disappeared. And I felt like light in my head. And I was like, I actually had this sensation of, oh my God, I'm alive. And I was like, wow. I was like, Mom, what did you just do? I was like, well, are you feeling any different? It's like, yeah, I feel amazing. What did you just do? So I was like totally like beyond my own. So then I started to get into like using some of the basic tools, light and heavy, and who does this belong to? Which I would now to also refer to like, is this mine or is this someone else's? Because it like gives an acknowledgement both ways. You can like ask like if you have a thought, feeling, emotion, or sensation, or like I had like this buildup of heavy feeling like for years and years and years, and also going into the theater with all the self-judgment and am I doing well enough? What did the directors expect of me? All of that. So and I had felt like I was actually rehearsing for the show Wicked, which is all about magic and spells and all of that. Yeah, we were setting it up in the
Merlijn, that's perfect for you. Did you have your magic?
I know. There is no coincidence, like I tell you. Like every time when I like kind of like touch on this story, I'm always like, oh my God, this is like so like bizarre, but it still makes so much sense. No, then like I try to like introduce the tools to everyone at Wicked, and hardly anyone was interested, but that's a different story. No, there were like so many unhappy people and people
Bad
like,
humanoid. No, don't shove this down.
Yeah. girl, I had my endeavors, I would say. So anyway, so then I remember being off stage a lot because I was swing. Switch is a swing in musical theater land is a position where you basically step in for everyone that drops out. That's like said in the show. So they either have a vacation day or they have sick leave or they're injured or something like that. So I had not been on stage during that rehearsal period. Like I had been going crazy in that little space that was my own head with all this energy jammed up. So Puck and Pod had already like cleared that up, which was like the short for the clearing statement. But then I started like using for everything that came through, if it was a feeling, a thought, or or what I would call what I called an emotion, or what people would call an emotion, like fear, anxiety, stress, like all the things that have to do with daily life and they're so up in the world right now. I started to ask, okay, truth, is this mine or someone else's? And then, which was lighter, usually, it always shifted something because I was willing to ask a question about it. So I would say the question of who does this belong to? Is this mine or someone else's? Those three or those four put together just created it just moved the witch cabinet that was inside my head and in my body because I felt very restless, I couldn't sleep, all of that. It was just on overdrive for so long. I could like basically all of that left my head, left my body in 3 days. And after the first day, I was like, should God, am I gonna ask this question for everything? And I was like, well, Merlijn, listen, you can keep on fucking yourself up and feeling so bad. You can also choose to commit to asking, like doing this for 3 days in a row. And that changed my entire experience in the world, my entire experience with my body, just by asking these questions. Then I figured out also so many of the physical complaints that I had that were quote unsolvable, or they couldn't find the cause or something like that. They just kind of like started changing and started leaving my life. And I kind of like have to like I cannot even like recall anything. Yeah, I mean, I would say like when we have an injury or something, even though it's something physical, yeah, sometimes you might, we have a lot of things like backstage in theater, a lot of dark spaces. So, you might twist your ankle or your foot or something. So, in that, it's kind of like it keeps on accumulating. So what also started happening is that those things would show, they would like flare up. I would like have this old pain from the past again. And it would I could ask a question about it instead of judge it and like try to not have it, because that's what we often do. Like we try to not have these sensations, these things that we think we cannot handle, when we actually
push them away instead of actually addressing them. And when maybe all we have to do is ask a question: what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how can I change it? Or one of my favorites is that I throw in extra is, can I change it now or in the future too? Then I don't have to like bend my mind around it so much. I love that you're talking about this tool. Give me an example of something that actually came up for you where you were able to use that tool and make it just seemingly flitter away.
Yeah, totally. Like every time when I would like have a self, like what I would call a self judgment, like I'm not good enough, or like I'm not like or I will never get it right, or that's not even, those aren't even the worst. I mean, there's like whatever runs through your head that could stop that would stop me. And I still use this tool to this day and age because we're evolving beings. So, when you have a business, you make different choices, like you ask for different things, and then other things show up, and then you kind of like can use these tools again in a different, I would say, it's different space, different possibilities, different, choices. So yeah, that has really kind of like for every thought, like, I don't want to be here. That's a very popular one. Yeah. And I would ask, truth, who does this belong to? And I would already lighten up. And I could also like just use the magic wand, like, destroy and create everywhere I made this mine. So, and let the energy shift a little bit. Sometimes you just need to give it some space so it can actually move around, like get out of its solid position in your head or in your thought patterns, and like embed it into your body, because those stuff that stuff gets a little bit embedded into your body, because that's why I'm such a big fan of the body work also, if we're like, if it comes down to that. And but like then just like really allowing myself, and I had that time and space in those 3 days because I wasn't on stage. I was just fighting with all these energies. So now I could address them and just like clear myself up. Who does this belong to? Is this mine? Someone else's? Oh, someone else's. Acknowledged. Okay. Doesn't matter whose it is. No, just the acknowledgement of that awareness that I might have picked it up, or I'm aware of something or someone. Yeah, that's how it started. And after a couple of days, I could even like who does this belong to? And then my awareness went to like kind of like that person. And at first I found it super weird. It's like, wow, so this has been playing all along in my own head, in my own little creation space. And then I was like, could I actually know this? And then I heard about, kind of like just being like almost 100% awareness of all other people's realities, other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and everything that goes up and down, even the unspoken things. That was just, what made me happy? The acknowledgement that never had to do specifically with me personally, but it had everything to do with how aware I am of other people's worlds, and that it didn't have to be a problem anymore. There's like, once I did it like for 3 days, it changed. It laid a whole different, I would say, like path for the future, because
something that used to be something that used to torment you actually became an acknowledgement and a capacity.
Yeah.
And then you're going, oh wow, I can actually, I don't actually have to hold on to these thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Yeah.
I don't. And
Yeah.
it's probably yours. Okay, return to sender with awareness.
Yeah. Or acknowledge. Because if you keep on doing that to that awareness, for example, your dad or your colleague, someone who's grumpy, and you almost don't want to come close to them because you notice that energy and you're kind of like afraid that it's like going to overtake you. Like if you're like, oh well, I acknowledge that energy, and you could call it many things. You could call it jealous. You could call it, like I just had a conversation today with someone who wants to come to one of the classes we give in Access Consciousness, the foundation class, which you're also a facilitator of, right? So that, and she was like, well, yeah. And then I heard some great stories about you, and I heard some very bad stories about you. And I was like, oh, what's the gossip? Because, and then just like so often we would start identifying or like trying to do something with that awareness, what it is. I mean, people say what they say, people choose what they choose, whatever, beyond right and wrong, everything is an interesting point of view and awareness. So also like not putting a judgment towards that, and like acknowledging that just is living in the world. I mean, it just makes so different. If you're like lying in bed, and even though there's no one around you, you feel the reality of the world coming through your head and through your body. And I know so many people might recognize this, like they cannot sleep, or they feel restless, or especially when they lie in bed, because then guess what, they're so open to receive. So it kind of like it feels like this whole fucking, like I would say like entertainment park coming through, like or like the horror show coming through them. Well, it's actually just awareness, and they might have some power in actually kind of like changing some of those energies, or like returning some of those energies. So that was like extremely life-changing for me. And that's also, I would say, is like I'm willing to go that far. I mean, I was like willing to die anyway to get to more awareness, and I'm still alive. So how does it get better? Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know, what were the evil things about you that she heard?
Now, well, there wasn't even like specific, and she didn't really want to like, I would say, point out people, and I probably already know who it are. I mean, and funnily enough, it are people that have taken like that some are other facilitators of Access Consciousness. So, for everyone who's listening to this who might be wondering, it's like, not everyone who's facilitating Access Consciousness is really interested in consciousness. And everyone who is facilitating Access Consciousness is in some sort of evolution. Like, like when you start engaging with that, like, like I have learned to not make things personal at all anymore, because I might be like, and I've had this by myself, like kind of like having these like jealous feelings when people would, get a lot of like people in their classes, or when they would get like great results with people, and it's like, oh God, I want that too. But instead of making that other person wrong, which is ultimately about me,
Right.
because I am, yeah, just like, what am I not willing to be? And what does it inspire me to do and be?
Mhm.
And that's also kind of like, I know I'm very judgeable. I know that. So it's like, you can call me anything, gay, weird, whatever, and by the way, I fuck boys and girls. So, that is like, oh, what?
Trying to
Like,
make more money now. I see how tricky you are. So here's the point, people. If you can actually receive, regardless of what someone throws at you, a compliment is still a judgment. And so is, for lack of a better way of saying it, a heavy judgment or whatever. If you can be that rock in the stream and be like, okay, you know what? It's not even relevant. It doesn't, what if it didn't even matter?
Yeah.
And that's the space I live. That's when I got total freedom, when I allowed myself to be who I was without any apology, and if someone doesn't like it, okay, they don't like it. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
And
my
it's,
problem.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, also like living like that is becoming more and more of a gift, because, like as we're evolving, like, like there's no getting it right here either. Because, you are being what you allow yourself to be at that moment. And when you ask for different things, you notice it in your whole being, and like being with your life and living your life, like where you are not being and doing that. So that starts like just showing itself like, hey, listen, you could choose more here. Like if you're willing to be aware, it's not even about listening, it's also about listening, but it's like really about being aware. And I also like asked this lady, like, I mean, she was like like, like one big like waterfall of like, I was like, okay, it makes sense.
Call it like, the continuing vomit, where people just have to vomit their whole life story in front of you.
Well, or it's not even
Bleed
a
on
life
you.
story. It was not even a life story. Like she actually brought up. It's like, she was like, why would people do that? It's like, well, honey, like, is why even a question? Is like, people do what they do, and then like, what is great about it? Like, what is it showing you? Like,
Right.
where do you run away from? Like, what are you not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive? In other words, which is maybe a little bit more, I would say, like, access, speak, but like these are always like kind of like the areas that people are not willing to be aware with some sort of behavior, or they're not actually asking. It's like, okay, how can this create something for me? Because we both know from showbiz, unless you judge it, there's never bad publicity. All the talk that goes on about you is can be a contribution to you, your business, your body, as long as you don't judge it yourself. Because that is what I also learned. Stop judging myself, and that has taken some practice. And like, I remember just sitting on the side of my bed, like literally kind of like, oh, there's that energy again, that feeling that, oh, I don't even want to get out. Yeah, I mean, I can literally conjure it up right now. I mean, you might sense it, even if
I
you're
know,
listening
my
now.
chest just got heavy. What did you just do?
Well, that's just really kind of like asking for that energy. It's also what a great actor can do. They just be that energy. So that is what they. Here's the ambulance. Everything's facilitated. So, ding, ding,
I
ding,
love it.
ding.
I would
So,
love you to speak more on that, because I've always really been intrigued by character actors and how they can step into that zone. I know for me, I can step into tears,
yeah.
which is like, and it could be joyful tears or heavy tears or whatever it was. But I've always, for me, my body, because it's my body crying,
Yeah.
it's not me crying, it's my body
Yeah.
emoting or whatever. And I was always been able to do that. Like when I think of Mother Earth and how much I love her and how much I love my body for going through all the things it went through in my life, and I'm still here. And I'll get emotional about it just by having that gratitude, I guess is the best way of saying it. But I did a lot more performing, singing, and dancing than I did acting. So I'm very curious, before Access, do you perceive that you were actually stepping into these emotions? And then what about after access? Do you utilize that way? I'm just curious because this is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it can literally be, it's like, what energy do I have to be here? Like, it starts with the question, and then, what are we trained to do is to figure out what that energy is, instead of allowing that to show up. Let the question do its let the question do its work. Let it do its magic. But magic is not a word that people
Merlijn.
specifically enjoy. Wave that magic wand. Yeah, more magic wands for y'all. But yeah, like, what energy can I be here to create a different result, or to, like, it can even just start. I remember working with a girl who's a singer also, and now, how amazing, she's also become access facilitator, and like, she's always been, like, she's actually, I've gone, we worked together in Cats the musical, and we were not even very, like engaged. She was one of the booth singers, because in Cats you have like the booth singers,
Right.
which is like 4 or 6 singers that basically back up the ensemble backstage, because it's like a whole fucking acrobatics show. Like, you have to be a top athlete to do Cats in the first place, even though it might be horrific. Even though it might be horrific to watch for many people, but that's that's something different. However, we knew each other from back then, and then she saw all my Insta posts and this and that, and Facebook posts, and then she started using the tools, and and then when like, just going along, she was also, I just asked her for some coaching, and then, because I was going to do a concert, I just wanted to brush up my vocal cords and this and that, like, just to kind of like, because I'd not done theater for quite a while, and I wanted to present like an evening and invite people to more, whatever I wanted to share. So then she was just like, really, literally, okay, what energy can you be here? And then she uses it also for every, I would say, situation, like singing at a funeral, or singing here or singing there. What energy do I have to be here? So it really kind of like acknowledges, like, oh, I can transform and ask for a different energy. And like, even before Access, I had, like, there were some great teachers that I had, some great dance teachers. I remember a teacher I had in New York when I studied and lived there for a year, and he was like an animal, but still so very well spoken, like knowing what to say to address the energy that he wanted to create. And he was like this in his classes. Like, it was open classes, but everyone would wear black, because then you could see the bodies. It had to be like tight on the body. And he just said also, this is the energy I'm giving you. Duplicate me your way. And then I noticed, like, fuck, I've been doing this my whole entire life. I've been looking at other dancers duplicating their energy, but now I realized I was doing it instead of just letting it happen by accident. Because that's this whole thing. We think we cannot do that. Like, oh my God, I hope it will show up. Other than knowing that you can ask, what energy do I need to be here? And even like when you go like in something more physical, I mean, could be dance class, could be also sex, whatever, physical engagement.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what energy can I be here? That's like also a different question. So that, and sometimes it's like also, what energy do I have to be? Like a lot of people are like done with the word having, but sometimes if you want to create a different result, you just, I would say, got to commit to the magic that you be. What energy do I have to be here? Instead of like, what energy could I maybe be here that if I would allow myself to be it, blah, 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 what I hear a lot in Access Land also. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I
it's
call it,
interesting because I do, when I go out in the world or whatever, or if I'm teaching a class or if I'm performing on stage, I do ask for what energy I have to be, so what energy is required here. And it's interesting because I really love to sing like big songs, like Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle. And as you know, Prince, I'm not afraid to sing a Prince song,
Oh!
I had the theory and harmony, training, but in a way, I already knew it because my mother said, you did it naturally. I had a sister who's 4 years older than me, and she would go play Vivaldi on her violin. And then I'm 4 and 5 years old and I hear her play it and I go in and I play it. So I know what you mean by stepping in to the energy. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Someone pointed it out to me. They said, when you do Aretha, you even have emotions, mannerisms, because I studied her,
Yeah.
and then when
Yeah.
I do Patti LaBelle,
Yeah.
because so you're really, I'm getting an awareness from this conversation that I never really had before, that I was
That's awesome.
embodying all these amazing singers,
Yeah.
incredible. But we, to acknowledge that we've actually been doing that.
Yeah.
And now we can just choose it.
Yeah.
You can choose shit, and you can choose fun, and you can choose, it's all just a choice,
Yeah, and you can choose magic, and also sometimes it takes a while for you to be willing to be that also, like for that really to something to be present to you and your body, because it's always available to you. Only like sometimes I would say, cut those spaces out of our world, so we don't have like we would rather see Aretha Franklin on stage. It's like, yeah, you got to be willing to be that Aretha Franklin, that you can be with all that energy, but always know that you are the one creating with that energy. That's what I find so fascinating about actors who can really literally do that and know that they do that and don't get stuck. I mean, I also heard this story about Heath Ledger, for instance, that he committed suicide after he played the Joker, which is like, well, I even question if he actually committed suicide. But if that were to be true, I wouldn't be surprised if you invite so many demons into your body, into your head, to create a character, and then you don't realize you're not totally empowered to actually also facilitate that energy out again. Or even like, do people even realize what they pull in to create something? You can always go, I would say, forward to being all the space you are again. And like, luckily we have tools to clear demons in access consciousness that I am very grateful personally, because I have some powers with the dark that I didn't know I had. But
Same.
that is, yeah, of course. I mean, that's
I'm known for exercising bodies, so believe me, and houses and all the things. I had a really interesting one recently. It's popping to talk about it, but I have a girl I've been facilitating since she was 4. She's 7 now, and she has capacities with entities. And she also was a child of parents that were doing drugs and all these other things. So there was a lot going on in her world. And then this last time she started hearing these entities or demons or whatever you want to call them. And she was using words that a child of 7 would never use. And her mother said something that gave me an awareness. She said, do you think that there was like a hex or something put on her family? And I went, oh my gosh. So I went to the lineage of her parents and was able to tie it back through, generations. And she had agreed to be a portal way back when. And once we were able to have that information, this is again asking questions, y'all. It's not, I mean, we can say that's very magnificent and magical, and in a way it is, but it was really being willing to ask the questions, go back there and undo it, because you can actually change your past with these tools as well.
And honestly, like, beyond like thinking that something like this might be superstitious, it's super practical to know that someone is a portal when they're not functioning, when you can't have a conversation or have great business with them. Because if they keep on changing and shifting energies and allowing that to run them, and when you not acknowledge it, like, you're not going to be a happy person, right? You're not going to be a happy individual unless you like that sort of like unconsciousness.
Yeah, some people really.
That's what a lot of people do.
It's true.
Yeah, and this is like, we're only laughing about this probably because we know that we've been there, done it, and bought the t-shirt. Like, I couldn't make fun of anyone that I hadn't done myself.
Right.
So that is,
But we're not
like,
being
I would say
flippant. We've lived it, Merlijn and I have definitely lived all of this. So when and know this also about laughter. When you laugh, it's true for you, and you get lighter, and the planet loves it. It's actually a blessing you give to the planet when you're laughing. So whatever you do, don't, just take yourself very seriously. And if that's what you choose, we're an allowance of that, believe me.
Like, fun is terrible. It's like, you want to be.
Yeah, I want to be cranky.
So there are some drag accessories on the table. But however, So yeah, I mean, like having that, like it's so funny because maybe I'm not sure how this will show up on the Zoom, but when you were talking about like, you know, all the other energies and stuff, I like literally saw you break up. It's like, yeah, well, like the conversations we have are never only for ourselves, you know, like, and what if
You
it's
were
not?
a robot a couple of times too for me. And sometimes, little gremlins like to get in and spoil the show,
Yeah,
but we
but
don't
then
let it,
again,
we
yeah,
don't
but
let
then
it bother
again,
us.
it's like we're not necessarily it's not necessarily an invitation, but knowing that, you know, there's so many different life forces. Yeah, you know, like how's it get better than that? That's also like they can be like every energy can be a contribution. This is also one of the things that I've learned and that really got my happy on um is that um is that I didn't need to make any feeling or energy or emotion or thought wrong anymore. That it was actually, it's like, oh, that's another interesting wavelength, you know, like when I could start. And this was again was super practice and more like, I would say it's not something you do in one time. Because it's like we're so wired to actually not be happy. Like this world is wired like in like to anti-consciousness, to not be you. So, you know, and also acknowledging that it's like what could that create? It's like how much do we try to change this world
Mhm.
and making it a better place by changing it instead of the ways that we be with it. I'm like, if I be the space that I am and everything's inside of that, like this is not in my body, but I would say in my being space, like, you know, what is going to be able to take over this? Like like nothing. Like we have authority and we are autonomous in how we function energetically. Yet sometimes it's just very like easy to, can be so much easier to have some access tools up your belt to, you know, just get on the high road, to get on the high road, to get in happy. And also like demystify that happiness, like, oh my god, look at me, I'm happy,
He's
can
got to be
actually,
on drugs.
yeah, that can actually be like a more peaceful experience. I would say like getting like happy for me is more of a peaceful presence and like this inner glimmer that obviously also can have laughter attached to it, but it's more like, I would say it's more like nature. It's more like how I see animals function without, like, just on choice, based on choice, no judgment. Like they go, you know, snuggle up against each other. The birds fly and they land, and you know, they might snatch some herring out of my hands when I walk over to Sea Boulevard here. I mean, they really have no point of view.
Sure.
So it is also, I always like to reference that if I want to like, you know, universe, show me what what being and being happy is. Like always those things light up. And once again, what's the tool I'm using?
Mhm.
A question.
Right. Question creates. It definitely does. It's funny. I talk to the universe every morning from my hot tub. And I've actually
Wait,
I've been getting a lot of rain lately, so I've been using my bright pink umbrella, So I go out there but
wait,
it's like
what was the
universe.
hot tub?
You don't know what a hot tub is?
I know what a hot tub is, but do you have one?
I've
Oh, you
got
asked.
two actually. I have one inside my
Oh,
house and I have one outside my house. And in between is my bathroom window. So if it's raining, usually I use the one inside that has jets where your body floats. It's really cool. But I love being out in nature so much that if it's not super raining, I'll go out there with my big pink umbrella. And I talk to the Mother Earth and I commune with Mother Earth. This is kind of like my little morning ritual. But I always talk to the universe. I'm like, universe, show me the greatness I be. Universe, show me something magical. Universe, show me something beautiful today. And acknowledging the universe, which, includes everything, like awareness excludes nothing, including me.
yeah,
Immediately I can sense. It's so funny because when I first used to do that, I would feel all these energies happening. And then I remembered it started to dissipate. And
yeah,
then one day I went out and I couldn't perceive anything. And I remember reaching out to Gary Douglas, who's the reason we're talking. It's all his fault. He's the founder of Access Consciousness. And I said,
Terrible, man.
I've lost my mojo. I'm not feeling the earth. Usually when I talk to it, I don't know what happened. I mean, I indulged in it. Saying if you want to be cranky pants, please just indulge in it. And if you're going to do it, do it right.
It's the best. I mean, it's like the moments that we actually love without acknowledging that we used to love it so much.
Sure.
I mean, it's like the universe, it's like reversed reality. Mm-hmm. Like I would say, if you would turn everything in this reality around, that is what's usually actually true for, I would say, creative humanoids we are. So yeah,
it's interesting cool. Because Gary was like, well, girl, what if you just become it? And you can't, it's like an eye cannot see itself. If you become something, it's really hard to perceive it because you already are it. So I started following up every morning with, okay, this was my question. What energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can me and my sweet body be so that you, Mother Earth, can create you the way you would like to be created? And then and I say that every morning, and like I said, I used to feel all these things, and then I said, in truth, I'm already being that, right? Y'all just applaud because I'm already being that.
Show me. It's like I was giving a session. I'm like,
you're welcome.
Yes. Oh God. I was giving a session earlier this week to I do like these, I would say, like more week programs and energy pools and stuff. And there was this one, I was like, at a certain point, I was like, and wait, so this is like me and my ADD trip. This is easy for me to say. So sure. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I include the body also. Like I might add some movement in there also. And it's like, it was literally asking, like, show me the gift that I am, and I saw some of these people in, like, they were attending the shit, they were just like exploding, like they'd never really asked for, like, with that intensity. Yeah. And like, it wasn't necessarily for me, it just felt so congruent to do it. And I just saw all these spaces like blasted open. They were like, wow, that was like, well, that's the intensity of being and presence and exuberance that people refuse so much, and this like made so wrong. It's like
they're afraid of the judgments. I mean, they're not willing to receive the judgments.
Yeah, it's like
the ugly, whatever.
I was like, homework, do this in the busy shopping street. Just go there and scream that. And I wonder who actually did it. I didn't follow up with that question. It's so interesting, but I might actually check in with them, or I might give them some after homework. Wow, if we were willing to receive that amount of judgments, like what else could we actually also like ask and receive and have, like I would say the question of ask and receive is also about willing to have there. So like, for example, I was like stuck in ensemble and swing positions for my entire career because I was not willing to be that principal, even though I pretended to be willing to, but I always created a way that I could support everything. So interesting.
Such a good humanoid you are. Let me just applaud you for being so selfless and kind.
I know, so kind, so abusive of my own powers. But that being said, that was like basically kind of like just a lot of unconsciousness there also. I work with a lot of like artists and also people that are in principal positions also, that just kind of like either they're unhappy or they're stuck, or they can't get like a relationship going on because they're so famous, because they're like, everyone's gonna get like everyone's gonna want something of me. That is like one of the most interesting energies that I've also worked with. It's like, yeah, well, what energies are you inviting? What questions could you be asking? What energy pool could you actually do? And are you willing to say no? So it's like, like often they are also so like professionally they're good, but individually it's a very, very touchy space. They've often like identified themselves with that professional, which obviously is what they are for the world also. So it's like,
those are the
like,
people I want. Those are the people I would love to create a Right Voice for You class for.
Yeah. or
It's
get
like
their bars run.
Right, that too. So that their heads will shut up because that dialogue, they're just picking up on all the people around them going, what can I get from that person?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, and they're all so often, I mean, they're actually accurate. Like people that come their way are a little bit crazy, but then we are crazy also. At least we know we're crazy.
Right. We don't try to hide it. In fact, we wear a badge,
like
a badge of honor.
We would never harass principal players. We would rather be harassed. But anyway, that being said,
that's a whole podcast, y'all.
Welcome to the Get Happy podcast with Ronnie Davey and Merlijn Wolsink. There we go.
You know what, Merlijn, it keeps popping in my head. We've really got to do something else together because I could talk to you for hours and hours, and I wonder what creation what could we be and what could we create? So I don't know, you guys. I want to make sure to get information so that people can find you. And I don't know, would you guys like to see us do something? Maybe put something in the comments because I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, let us know. What do you see us do? Like, dare us. I like to be I like to be dared, and like what I like about like I don't know with other people is like actually kind of like following up what is happening. That's kind of like one of the things that I have like been, I don't know, like it's so funny. Like if you're like truer to yourself, it's so easier to follow up with anything that you are creating. So anyway, challenge us to whatever you would like to see of us. And to follow up on your question, it's like, where can people find me? Well, I have merlijnwolsink.com.
Wolsink.
Wolsink, exactly. Merlijn Wolsink. Some people are like, are you from Russia? And it was like, it's not Wolsnik, it's not it's Wolsink. Merlijn, MERLIJNWOLSINK.com. There you can basically find everything that is going on. And I'll be flying out a lot more. There's also a very interesting call about the magic of receiving. It's about the energy flows you be and can actually use, basically a lot of like following up on a lot of things that I've talked about on this podcast, and what else is possible. Obviously, I'm all the socials too. Like, just look for me and you'll find me: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Very extensive. Actually, I think my YouTube channel is one of like there's a lot of English content, so you can probably entertain yourself there for I don't know, a good week.
If you want to binge watch Merlijn, I'll make sure the link is there for you guys. So with ease and joy and glory. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, hit the like button if you know of others that could use a little happy in
and
their
follow.
world.
And the follow button, right? With podcasts, usually follow, right? Follow.
Yeah, follow. Well, subscribe, follow. I think is kind of
subscribe, follow, and what else? The platform.
Do all the things.
Do all the things.
I actually read all the comments. So if there is something that you would like to know more about, or if you do want to challenge us to a duel, to a creation,
duet,
we're happy to do that. And
I'm not sure which side you're on. Where are you?
I'll make sure they can find you, honey. Trust me.
Are you here?
Anything you want to? Yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, are you here? Probably you're here. Are you here?
I'm actually over here.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's how you show up on me too. On my thingy too. Yeah, there we go. We got it. Oh my God.
Maybe we'll even do a duet together. I don't know. We were actually singing that song. Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy.
You're gonna
chase all your cares away. You take it.
Sing hallelujah. Come on, get happy. Get ready. Well, it's funny, like how people just sing that all the time and they don't even realize what they're saying. It's so Hollywood is so tricky. But anyway, we can obviously be with everything.
We'll do all the things. We'll do all the things. So is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with before?
Thank you all so much for listening. Like whatever it takes to get you happy on. If you would like that reality for you, it is possible. Like, what do you require? And what if we were to remember to stay, I would say, kind to us, whatever comes with it? Because what I realized is that me being happy is actually being in oneness with all the energies that I would probably rather not have in my world, and letting that melt. I mean, it's just such a gift to keep on unwrapping yourself and allowing the world to enjoy it. Yeah. So thank you so much, Honey, for having me on the
Oh,
podcast, and
you're an
get
absolute
happy.
delight.
You
You're an
too.
absolute delight. I look forward to what we're going to create in the future. And thank you so much for being my awesome guest. And thank all of you for listening. We appreciate it. And until next time, ciao, ciao for now.